Hey everyone, it's Rom Tutorials here. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to recreate this scene. It's a low poly train station I made quite a while back. It's quite an easy tutorial and good if you're a beginner, so I hope you do good on it and I hope your outcome is good as mine might be. Anyways, good luck and now let's start the video. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to change to isometric view. You can do this by going to cameras, anammetric and isometric. Now this will give us this corner side view, and this is an isometric cube. So we're going to add a cube and we're going to put lines on, and this will basically mean we can see all of our segments and polygons. We're going to align it to the grid so it's the perfect size. Now that we've done that, we're going to turn up the segments so we have a bit more to work with. Now each cube is going to be a wall, so we need quite a lot of cubes. I'll probably use about 10 or 12. You know, we'll have to see. It depends on the size I go for this model. Yeah, 12 is a lot better. So now we can begin with the walls. Now the walls are pretty simple. All we need to do is extrude the walls up. So we're going to make the object editable, because at the moment we can't edit it. So if we try to go to polygon mode, you'll see this. We're not able to select anything. But now if we go and press editable, we'll be able to select each polygon and move it to our standards. So we're going to select our select tool, and we're going to change the radius down to about maybe like 2, so we can select everything a lot easier. So we're going to hold shift and select along. If you misclick, then just press control and do it again. Now you'll see that it's not one cube away. The radius is maybe about 2 on some walls, 4 on some walls. So we're going to make sure that it's perfect. So we're going to bring it out a bit more just here. So as you can see, I did make a little bit of a mistake here. So I'm going to hold control and go over it to remove it. Now you see it sticks out a bit more. So we're going to stick it out a bit more. So this is where our doorway is going to be. And this area here is where our train is going to be. So we're going to add probably a couple bit of poles or something, maybe probably move it up a bit more. If you see on that one, it's a bit more up. So right back there, and on the opposite side as well. So now we're going to press D to extrude, or right click and extrude, and we're going to just press new transform. The offset doesn't really matter because we're going to be just dragging it up. So we're going to drag it up to a decent amount of size. Use the move tool just to move our camera up so we can see more, and bring up a bit more maybe. And now we've got our walls done. So if we render it, it already looks quite nice, you know, but we need to work out the floor. So if you look, it pops up a bit there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our selection tool, and we're going to just select around. Now if you can't see behind the poles a bit, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go into perspective mode. And that's the first camera angle we're in. So we go to cameras and perspective. Now we can move around with the tools in the top right, you know, rotate, move the camera and zoom in and out. And we're going to just select all around this area because this is where our floor is going to be. And then on the left side, that's going to be obviously our actual train area. So we're going to go back to isometric and we're going to extrude it up. See, you can do that, but obviously you get them weird edges. We want to make it sure it's nice and flat and smooth. So we're going to just extrude it up to about a good height. You know, that looks fine. So, you know, that looks good. And now we're obviously going to just carry on and get the rest done. So if you look, there's a lot more details. You know, there's benches, there's cones, stairways, and obviously the actual train. So there's that little yellow line. So we're going to start with the entrance of the stairs. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the right camera angle, because obviously we need to make sure this looks good. So we're going to obviously use a ball to create a hole in the wall. Now you can use hard surface modeling for this, but if this is your first model, I wouldn't recommend it. So we're going to go back to perspective and we're just going to have a look around. So we want our wall, our door to be right in between them lines. So we're going to add a cube and we're going to move it just kind of in the middle, just so we can get an idea. And then we're going to go into our other views by pressing the little icon on the top right, and we're going to try find the view that we're looking at in the perspective. We want to be able to see, like, make sure we can get it perfect. So it's not in the left view, so it might be in the right, or it could obviously be in the back. So yeah, okay, so the back view. So now we're going to go into that view, and you'll see that we can see the pole right on the left, and we're going to drag it into the middle, and we're going to just position it properly so it's right in the center. We got a nice doorway and it fits perfectly. Bit too tall, so we'll drag it down a bit. Maybe change the width a bit. Yeah, that looks nice. So now we just have this massive cube, and we need to actually use it to make the hole in the wall for the stairs. So what we're going to do is we're going to just make it a bit smaller, a bit bigger probably actually, and then drag it in. Now we're going to look around, make sure it looks nice. We got a nice doorway almost. Now we need to go to our ball and drag both of the cubes in. So now we'll see that we have doorway. And now this is the problem about ball modelling. People that hard surface model don't like this because it messes up the geometry. So you'll see that we have a lot of these little triangles, and the rest of the model where it hasn't been balled, it's very nice, like it's just cubes, but here it's kind of rough and it's not as perfect anymore, if you know what I mean. So now we're going to get started with the stairs, and we're going to just copy that cube that we used to make the hole, and we're going to resize it so it fits the the stair shape, because we want it to look quite nice. So make it a bit smaller, change the width, length and height, drag it down a bit, and then just move it into position. Now it's a bit too sharp, so we're first going to go to isometric and just make sure it looks nice so we can actually see the step, because you don't want to model something and then you can barely see it. So what we're going to do is we're going to position it right, maybe a bit thinner. Yeah, that looks quite nice. And now we don't want the edge to be so sharp, we want it to have a bit of a curve, but not a curve at the same time. So we're going to go to fillet, and we're going to tick on fillet. And what this does is, if you look, it actually makes it very rounded, and it also increases the polygons up quite a lot. Now because this is a low poly work, we don't want it to be so low poly, obviously. So what we're obviously going to do is we're going to just, we have the fillet subdivision and we have the fillet radius. Now fillet subdivision is how many polygons you have on the object for the fillet. So if I turn it down, then obviously it will get more low poly. So we want it on 1, and then we want to obviously change the radius down so it's a smaller curve. So now that we've done that, I quite like that. I might change it a bit, but what we're going to do is we're probably going to just make it a bit wider so that we can't see them little things on the side. Probably change the X, yeah. So then now that we've got that looks quite nice for our first step. Yeah, about 1, 2, that looks nice. So now we'll just copy and paste it, Control C, Control V, and move it into position for the next step, drag it up. And we'll do the same thing again, Control C, Control V, and bring it up. Cool, so now that we've got our steps done, all we need to do now is obviously check that it actually looks alright. So now you can see that the stairs lead off, and we don't need any more stairs because you can't see them anymore because that pole is blocking the staircase. So now that we've done that, we want to probably add some details and stuff, some actual stuff. So we're going to go back into perspective, and we're probably going to start working on the train or something now. So maybe we'll start working on the rails, making the actual train tracks for the train that we will be modelling. So I'm going to just make this a bit thinner, so it lines up with that first cube, and then we're going to drag it out. So we first want to add some fillet to it though, because it's too sharp, and train tracks aren't really that sharp, like they are, but they aren't. So we're going to add a small fillet to it just so it looks a bit neater and nicer. Drag it out first though, make sure it fits everything. Then we're going to drag it into place, and right on the right side of that last polygon, and then we're going to Control C and Control V it and drag it to the opposite side, to the left of that last polygon. So now that we've done that, we're going to add the fillet to it. So let's go to fillet, and change the subdivision all the way down to 1 and change this to about 1.63. Yeah, I like 1.63. And we'll do the same thing to the other one, 1 and then 1.63. So that's our base train tracks done. Now we need to add the wooden planks here in the middle, because obviously train tracks have that. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to move this up a bit, and then we're going to Control C and Control V again and rescale it. Now this is going to be the actual wooden planks we're doing. So, we're not really going to change the fillet radius or anything. We're going to just keep it as is. But we are going to resize, make sure it looks nice. Make sure it's like, correct in size. So it just looks neater. So now that we've done that, we're going to have to move it up a bit because it's not in the middle. And probably drag it up a bit. And yeah, so now if you look, this is in the middle of every line on polygon. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag it up over to every other polygon. So in the middle, and obviously I'm just copying and pasting it. You can see on the right they're being duplicated. I'm going to just do this onto every line. And the other side, copy and paste. Cool, so now we've done the base of the train tracks. If you look on the image, you'll see, it's pretty resemblance, but we need to actually make the train. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make the actual hole that the train will be going through. Because obviously the train needs an entrance and an exit. So we're going to make this little hole and we're going to just scale it just the right size, because it has to be about just a bit bigger than the train rails. Because, if it's too small, the train won't be able to fit through it or fit on the rails. So we need to make it a decent size and make sure that it's not coming at the bottom. Because otherwise when you ball it, you're going to have a big hole in the ground. So you want to have it just on level with the floor, and then we're going to drag this ball up so we can access it easier, and then make another ball, drag that ball in, and then drag the cube in. And obviously if it goes like this, then just switch them around because it's A subtract B and it might have been doing B subtract A instead by accident. So now we also need to actually move them planks up because as you see, they're ending now. They're not like going along as they're meant to be. So we don't have a grid, so we're gonna just attempt to look at the sizing and make sure they look alright. Now we're actually gonna start working on the train. It's quite simple, so it shouldn't be too bad. We're gonna just drag it into the middle, resize it so it fits the hole, and just get the base of the train. So I'm not really going to follow this train design. I'm going to make it look a bit nicer because this is too simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag it up a bit so that I can actually see that bottom polygon. And then also what we need to do is we need to go to, if you look on the other one, you see there's a wall along here. So what we're going to do is we're going to just select the edges of this area. And now what we can do is we can drag these edges back, and that will allow us to make a wall, meaning we don't have to model any wheels for the train, which will make it a lot easier. So what we're going to do is we're going to just select each polygon edge and do that. And then once we've done that, we're going to just drag them back to align with the hole in the wall. So if you look, the wall is actually there, so we're going to just drag it back a bit. And now that we've done that, we're obviously just going to select them polygons with the actual polygon face tool. So hold shift and select over them, and then extrude it up a bit, just so it's just about the same height as the other base. And now we can re-show our cube once we've done this. So we'll press the little X, and now we can see our train again. So we're going to go with the isometric and make sure it looks alright. And now we're going to get to work on the actual train. So what we need to do is we need to work on the face of the train first. Like, the front of it. So if you look, it's very bland and kind of boring on that one. So I'll probably go for a different design. So first things first, we're going to obviously have to, move it up a bit. And we're going to have to change the segments probably. Because obviously, we can't really make something with like a 1x1. So now we've got the segments, we're going to make it editable. And we're going to select the edge tool. And we're going to just select all of these edges. So we need to select all of them, and once we've done that, it should be all good. So select that, select that, select that. I'm gonna drag it out a bit, and this kind of reminds me of like one of them older trains, you know, like, well, not older but more modern and not as so sleek, more like rounded. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make one of them, and we're gonna just bring the bottom bit down a bit, and that's the front of our train really done, to be honest. Maybe just change this down a bit just so it looks a bit nicer, because at the moment, you know, it looks nice, but it's kind of, we need a bigger window. Okay. Now we need to pull out the back of the train, because obviously, you know, the train can't just end when it's not even like all the way through the tunnel. So we got just select all of this while holding shift and drag it out. Not too much though, because you don't want your camera to be able to see the back of the train coming out of the hole. You just want to see what's in that, you know, that squared area. So now that we've done that, we're just gonna have to look at it, you know, and we're gonna make the windows. So we're gonna select all of them, holding shift, right click, and press extrude inner. And we're gonna change this to about like, you know, 10, because, you know, 5 is a bit too little. Like, if you look, it's too small. We need the windows to be a bit smaller, so we're gonna do 10. So, you know, that's a good size for the windows. And you'll see it's put everything in a bit, and we're gonna right click, and we're probably gonna do extrude, and then we're gonna change it to -5, because, you know, -5 is a good amount to pull it back by. Yeah, that looks nice. So now that we've done the front window, it looks quite nice and everything. We're gonna add some more details to the train, because it looks quite bland. You know, we'll add like a headlight later on and stuff like that. So now we're gonna just, you know, put the roof up a bit. You know, make it look a bit nicer. Extrude it up. Make sure you change it back to 5 and not -5. Bring it up, and then we're just gonna go to the scale tool and, you know, scale it to what we want it to be. So, you know, that I kind of like that. Maybe just a bit more, it's like, nah, it looks quite nice. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some side windows, probably. Like right there, if you look, you know, a lot of trains don't just have one window; they also have these side windows. So we're gonna just select both sides, and we're gonna do the same thing we did on the front window. You know, we're gonna go to like extrude inner, make sure it's on 10, then go to extrude, and -5 it, and press new transform. Okay, so now we've got the windows down, we might want to add like a bit more detail, you know, just on the sides of the train, just so it looks a bit nicer. So we're going to just select these side polygons and probably extrude them out. So, you know, we're going to select that, and that, and we're going to go onto the other side and repeat what we just selected. So that, and that, and then we're just going to do right click or D to extrude, and set it to about 3. That looks nice. I'm going to do actually is we are going to add the headlight now, because, you know, it's better to get things done now. So we're going to just go to our model again. We're going to go into polygon mode, and we're going to do the same thing we did for the window, but the opposite. So extrude it in a bit, but not by too much, maybe like 4. And then go to the resize tool to make this polygon a bit thinner. And then we're going to go to the edge tool to pull its edges in a bit. And then we're going to just go back to the face tool, and we're going to select around it, and we're going to just extrude them out by a little bit. Yeah, that looks quite nice. And that's where our headlight's going to be. Cool. So now what we need to do is we need to focus on other details, like, you know, the yellow strip and stuff like that. So, So what we're doing right now is we're adding the actual headlight, like the part that's going to glow. So, you know, we're just going to add that, and then quickly resize it so it fits properly. Still want it to look quite nice, and, you know, we don't want it to look kind of boring. We want to add some life to it. Cool. So that's quite nice. So we're going to check it in isometric quick, and, you know, render it. It looks quite simple, nice, and a low poly, just what we're looking for. So now we're going to go back to perspective view, and we're just going to add like cones and stuff like that, the yellow lines, cones, stuff like that. So first things I'm going to do is add these little yellow lines. So we're going to need to make them, I'll probably do 2 instead of 1, because it might look a bit nicer. It's good to try other things out instead of just copying your old work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just make them a bit thinner. Maybe, lower them down into the ground a bit and make it a bit thinner probably. But I need to make sure it scales properly first. So that's a bit off the edge. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just resize it so it's a bit thinner, move it up, and Control-C, Control-V, and there's the lines done. So if you look, we have these cones, and these cones are pretty simple to make. To be honest. Like, they're pretty much just cubes, so all we really have to do is, you could make a more realistic one using lofts and that kind of stuff, but obviously I'm not going to do that for this because this is a low poly tutorial. We don't want stuff to be too realistic. We want it to have that cartoony but realistic vibe. So let's just start working on the base of the cone. So we're just going to rescale it so it fits one of the cubes and only one cube, so it's about 1 cube big, and that's about the good size. And we're going to just drag it out, and you'll see that we're going to try to copy this old cone. So we're going to make the base of it, which is quite thin, and we're going to just make it editable and select the first one, and we're going to extrude inner, maybe about 3, and then extrude up. So we don't want it to be too big. That's about a good size maybe. Yeah, if you look, we're just trying to copy that. So now we got the first step done. We want to get this second white line done. So all we're going to do is we're going to just obviously extrude the inner again probably. Might drag it up a bit. No, I think that's about right. So extrude inner, 3, and then we're going to just extrude up a bit. Yeah, that looks quite nice. And we'll do the same thing again. Extrude up. And one more time. Cool. But the thing about this is the white line isn't that thick. So we do need to bring them polygons down a bit. Because if you look, it's a bit too tall, isn't it? So what we're going to do is we're going to just select these faces, and we're just going to drag them down to make that white line a bit thinner. And what we're also going to do is we need to texture this, but we're going to be texturing it by using polygons instead of just throwing a whole material on. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all where the white bits are going to be, holding shift obviously, and then we're going to make a material. So we're going to double click down here, we're going to drag it onto the polygon. So you see it only affects those polygons, which is good, because that just means that we're not going to have to make another cube to place there and then just put that cube on. Instead we can just select them polygons. So we're just going to place this somewhere. I like that area, quite nice. Yeah, move it forward a bit, maybe just put it in between them two. Go to isometric just so I can see the space I have, and move it up one. Cool, that looks quite nice. So now that we've done that, we're going to have a look at this. So now we want to do these benches that are at the back. They're quite simple, they're pretty much just only cubes. So we're going to go back to perspective, and we're going to just, start working on these benches, So what we're going to do is we're probably going to stop the legs first. They need to be quite thin. So I'll just rescale this so it's about the right size. Make these legs a bit thinner. That's still a bit too thick. They need to be very thin. So if we look, that's too thin. So yeah, I think that's a good length. Maybe I like that. So then we're going to Control-C, Control-V to make the other legs. And if you look, you'll see these legs are actually a bit higher. So we're going to select them both and just go to the y-axis and pull them off a bit. And then we're going to just, go back to isometric and make sure they look alright. Yep. looks good, yeah. And then we're going to Control C, Control V, move it up a bit. And then go to our perspective again. And we're just going to start working on the actual planks for the bench. So what we're going to do is we're going to just make another cube or use one of these. I'll just Control C, Control V this. And we're going to obviously extend it out. So that's a bit too big, we'll bring it back a bit. That's about the right size. Make it a bit longer and make the width more. And then Control C, Control V it to the other side. And Control C, Control V into the middle. Now the middle one isn't held up, so we need to make a little thing to hold it up. The other one, on the low poly train section, there's a small thing that wraps around. And that basically means that the middle one will be supported by the two others. So what we're going to do is we're going to Control C, Control V the middle one. And we're just going to resize it so it's able to wrap around, So a bit up and a bit more on the width. And we're going to just put one of these on each side right where the legs are. So move it up a bit more so it fits. And then I'll do it again to the other side. Control C, Control V. And just make sure it's in the middle. Move to the right a bit. Now that that's done, we're obviously done with the bench. And we're going to probably just put the whole thing into a group. So we're going to go to the first leg, which is cube 22. And hold shift and press cube 30 and press alt G. And let's all put it into a group for us. So now we don't have a ton of cubes that we have to search for to find it. It's all in one group. I think that's a good position. I'll check in isometric quick to see where I want it. Yeah, I think I quite like that. The render already is coming out quite nice, but I obviously need texturing, stuff like that. So now that we've done that, we're going to go back to isometric probably, and perspective and we're just going to, we want to add some more detail around the edge of the train. So instead of just having this little cube, we're going to make like a small outline, almost like the exit of a tunnel, which is what it's going to be. So we're just going to resize that to the right size, make sure it looks right. Oh, yeah, that's about the right size. Maybe a bit smaller or bigger. Yeah, and now we'll just make the width a bit smaller. Yeah, alright, that's a good size. And now we're probably going to add a fillet to this once we've got the right sizing. Just to give it a bit more like detail. We don't want just this bland cube. We want to give it a bit of space. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure it's not poking out that bottom. We're going to go to fillet, turn the subdivision down to 1 like always, and just mess with the radius. So I think that 7.9 is quite nice. So we're going to copy and paste it, and this is where the actual hole is going to be. So you don't want it to be too big or too small. So we're going to just resize it just enough so the train can fit through, and then put it in a ball like we did with the door. Now if you look, you'll see that there is a bit of something wrong with the ball. So what we're going to do is, it's because the ball is too big, so the wall is behind it, and the wall hole isn't small enough. So we're going to just resize the ball a bit, just the cube, and yeah, that looks alright. It lines up properly. And now we've got this little exit. So now what we're going to do is we're probably going to, so what we're going to do is we're going to start texturing now. So we're going to double click the material. This is going to be for our cones. So drag it onto both of them and open the color channel and change it to about an orange. Now you'll see that the white line's gone away. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag this white material from both of the cones on top, and it will reappear. So we're layering the material on top for them polygons. Now we'll do the bench. So we'll make a new material, drag it onto all of the legs. There we go, last one. And we'll probably just change it to a nice dark grey, and we'll just make another one for the actual wood panels. Probably put the grey onto these little stands as well, and we'll just put this material onto the planks, and we'll change it to about a maroony brown. And they're quite nice. It's looking good already. I quite like that material there. Cool. So that looks nice. Now we need to do the actual train tracks. So what we can do, we'll do the yellow lines first actually. So we'll just make these into a bright yellow. Oh, yeah, I kind of like that. And what we need to do is we can just use the materials from the bench for the train track. So, planks. But obviously we don't want to have to select every plank. So we're going to find the first plank we did. So that's the last one, I believe. And that's the first one. Yeah. So we're going to click cube 5 and then hold shift and alt G into a group and drag the wood material on top. And then for these two, we're just going to drag, obviously, the iron texture on top. Cool. So now we've done that, we're probably going to do the train now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing we did on the cone. We're going to go to face mode and we're going to select where the windows are going to be. Now because this is one whole object, we have to select these certain polygons for the windows. So we're going to drag this onto there and we're going to give it a nice light blue probably. Yeah, I like that. That looks good. So now we're just going to add one texture to the rest, make another texture, drag it onto the train, put the blue one in front, and make this into a light red. So we've got that. We need to do the actual headlight on the train, which is going to be a luminous white. So we're going to make another material, drag it on, and make it to luminance and turn off reflectance. Now that's most of the props done. We need to do the actual stairs and the rest of the building, which isn't too bad and we can easily do. You can obviously always paint more onto the train if you need to. Select other polygons, like maybe add some white stripes, whatever you feel like doing. So we're going to make another material. This is going to be for the base. Now, we're going to make this into a nice beigey, creamy yellow. So, that looks nice. But you'll see that, obviously in the staircase and everything, it's still grey. So what we need to do is, because it's a ball and it's not a full object, we need to actually make this ball into a complete object. So what we're going to do is, we're going to remove this and we're going to go to the ball. I'm going to right click and press select all children, and then we're going to do connect objects plus delete. Now this will make it into a whole object. So now if we drag this on, you'll see everything turns to that creamy colour. And we also need to add colour to that. Cool. So now that we've done that, we're going to just make the ball again into a normal object, and we're gonna put the material back on it, and we're just gonna make sure everything looks alright. And now we're gonna just colour the stairs. So I want to make these a nice grey. So we're gonna select them all, Control G, and make like a light grey for it. Yeah, that looks nice. So now that we've done that, we might need to turn down the, we're going to go back to isometric actually. I'm just going to do a test render quick. We're going to add a background so it looks nicer. I'll probably do it, maybe like a bluish, like a light blue. And that's all about there is to it. Anyways, thanks for watching this. If you do follow this tutorial, you can send me your work on Twitter, and I'll, give you some criticism or tell you like what I think of it. I'm sure most of you do amazing, and thanks for watching. See you.